Again, one of the sponsors of this podcast is Back to Basics. Back to Basics, best putting mirror that you can get. Use TM15 as your code. Your code is TM15, 15% off. Used by Cam Smith, designed by Richard Woodhouse and Grant Field.
Yeah.
My favorite putting mirror to use. Martin, before I ask you about your number one putting tip that you can share with us, do you use a Back to Basics putting mirror?
I have, but I'm trying to think. I've got so many gizmos in my garage here.
Yeah.
I don't know that I have a Back to Basics putting mirror. I love the guys you mentioned, Richard, and who's the other fella?
Grant Field, Cam Smith's coach.
Oh, so Grant Field. I don't think I've met Grant, but I'm
Grant
a fan
coaches,
of.
Yeah, Grant coaches Cam. Grant coaches Cam, and a lot of the other guys as well, like on the Live Tour, and coaches quite a few tour players.
Oh,
and him and Richard Woodhouse came together and built this putting mirror. So Richard Woodhouse is at KTV Sports Academy on the east coast here of Australia. Looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, he's super fit, yeah.
And then they designed this putting mirror, which has got it's like a 15-degree arc on it, so you can see path and face relationship throughout the whole putting stroke. Mm-hmm. It's fantastic. And I use it regularly. I think it's a really great tool to use. So tell me, in the Back to Basics putting segment, Martin, do you have a putting tip or something? Because I did Google Martin putting, and I said I saw a video. There was 5 keys to good putting: pace, 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 and face.
Yeah, pace, 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 and face. So I would say this: like I played golf in this senior Arizona Open here, and I played with a guy who won it. He's 72-year-old local legend, Mark Hebron. Okay, Greg Harmon. Greg Harmon, and he still hits it great. Like he steps up and just sets up, and the framing of him getting over a golf ball, you're like, this guy is not going to miss. 72 years old, knocks it out there beautifully.
Wow.
And I'm like, wow, this guy's really good. And then on the putting green, that's where things changed. Okay, poor guy couldn't putt it in the ocean day one. A little bit better in day two, but not really. And here's what I'd say to students. Okay, find your cadence for a putter to swing back and pass through the ball. Find where that is. You know what I mean? Like there's a cadence you like, and then realize this. Okay, realize that the putter has to go farther away from the ball on longer putts. And because what I see most people that really struggle, they have one backstroke length that their body can adapt to, just usually kind of one. And it might be 6 inches, might be 8 inches, might be 10 inches, but they're not great at varying their backstroke length. So everything goes 6 inches and then accelerates, or 6 inches, and 6 inches might be perfect for a putt that's 10 feet, right? But it's not perfect for a putt that's 20 feet, and it's not perfect for a putt that's 3 feet. So like the back swing of a putt, I think people really got to understand that it's okay to really let a putter swing back a bigger dimension, but in that same cadence. So we teach people to get up over a golf ball, and it's the same walking routine as a full shot, and it's the same tempo as a full shot from backswing to strike. So when people walk in, it's they might take a couple little practice strokes, kind of trying to govern their swing length. And then we always say, like, walk in, aim the face, take a look, settle the feet, take a look, ready, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the ready is a calming mechanism of 0. 1 is a backswing that is the appropriate length for the outcome, hopefully. 2 is the touch. 3, eyes are peacefully down. 4, we take a look. So, between 3 and 4, a ball might go in the hole on a short putt.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not a big fan of people that look immediately. Mind you, some great putters, like this dude I played with, this amateur, literally was like this. He let his head, he putted nice, and maybe that was his mechanism to calm himself. Whatever. I don't argue with success. Yeah. But most people flitter around too much. They're not peaceful enough. They don't hit the middle of the putter face, and they don't have commensurate backstroke lengths that make sensible distance outcomes.
So what you're saying there is, if you've seen the recreational golf a lot of the time, when the length of the putt is it's a longer putt, you might see them just kind of keep the same backstroke, but just increase the speed through the actual shot and not increase the length. What about, are you a person who is, I'm going to assume that you're more the artistry type of putting than you are the kind of the science of putting type of guy, but are you a person, if someone come to you and said, Martin, how far do I take it back for 10 feet? How far do I take it back for 15 feet? Are you teaching them that, or are you trying to get them to rely on the feel in regards to it?
That's a good question. I think I always say, let's find your baseline. Let's find your baseline
Yeah.
stroke, meaning that, if you start to have a cadence, and you can go get a playlist at, let's call it 90 beats per minute. I mean, you can say, okay, give me a playlist 90 beats or whatever you want it to be. And you can select songs and you can find a rhythm that you like. Now, when you set up over a ball and you swing a putter back and you're kind of looking at a ball, but that's sort of maybe left of center and you got your 2 feet down there. When you swing a putter back just outside your pinky toe and it hits a ball without over accelerating or decelerating, how far does that ball go? Okay, so we'll say, okay, here's a baseline outcome for a putter that swings in a cadence, travels just to our pinky toe of our trail foot and hits a ball. Well, what is that outcome? Okay, so we go and we step it off and we might say, okay, it's 15 feet. Cool. Well, all right, there's a swing length, a stroke length that provides 15 feet on, generally I'd have them do it on a flattish surface. So now they go, okay, well, something less than that produces less. Something greater than my swing of my pinky toe produces more. So now you're at a place where you have a graduated dimension that it, makes somebody feel a little bit more confident that their ball is going to stop where they want it to stop. Like good putters ultimately can make a ball stop where they want it to stop. And it's not in the cup either. It's behind the cup, and the cup merely gets in the way.
Yeah.
Right? So great putters know where to make the ball stop. And then that little circular thing that, has depth to it, hopefully catches it.
Yeah, I like that. And I think a lot of golf coaches out there, I know that myself personally I would underestimate, how important that can be to a recreational golfer, particularly someone who doesn't have a whole lot of sporting background and doesn't have that depth and feel that they might have through playing sport their whole life. That having a baseline, like we're all comfortable enough with teaching someone a baseline chip. So this is like your baseline pitch from 15 yards off the green, right? We're all comfortable doing that. And then from there, we start to add variances to it. So you want to hit it higher, make this adjustment. You want to hit lower, make this adjustment. And I like what you're doing there is that you're at least giving someone, the recreational golfer who might need that baseline, that my pinky toe is at that cadence. You're an expert clicker of the fingers. I'll be honest. You're an expert. is that produces this. So if they're looking at it going, okay, that's my pinky toe, or it's a little less or a little more, it gives them that little bit of clarity. I think we can underestimate the importance of that, particularly for a high handicapper golfer who I reckon could really use that. I think that's good information.
That little tidbit, that cadence I was talking about, I've heard from so many people when they've left the camp that, oh my gosh, that saved me. Because now every putt I hit, I just kind of go through this metronome in my head and I have this idea where my putter swings. And if the contact's reasonable, my outcomes are better. So it's like, yeah, okay, good. Now it's not about, well, how hard do I hit this thing? And it's even, I don't care how developed you get, you can't help but fall into questioning yourself. But if you have somewhere to go, the outcomes can be better.
Yeah.
I look at Bryson at the Masters. Okay, so Bryson DeChambeau, literally, whether you like him or hate him, the guy is a genius. Yeah. And he got to where he literally didn't make a putt on the weekend. Yes. He hit it pretty good, really. And couldn't make anything, couldn't create any momentum. So on the weekend, something, whether it was the blend of line and speed, because it's always artistry. You can try to be the science guy all you want, okay? But then you can't factor in that little breath of air when the greens are 12. Like, breeze plays a factor in putting, how you feel. There's so much to it where, the beautiful putters like your, Cam Smith, for example, there's a guy who can putt it. He seems to be able to, in most situations, his speed's great. Where you watch Bryson, and he's so detailed about his ruler and exactly where he's going to aim and aiming the logo line and all that. And that's great. man, it sure didn't work for him on the weekend at Augusta, because I thought, he's probably going to be right there, but he couldn't make a putt.
Well, and it's interesting you say that, because I was away, I think, when Augusta was on, so I got to kind of watch. I think I flew in and got maybe the last of whatever, but I actually heard a few interviews with him, and it seems to me that there's been a bit of a language shift in regards to the way that Bryson's talking, because he got interviewed when he shot 7 red the first round, right? I think he was 7 under. And I heard a real shift in the language that he was using, that he was getting back towards the artistry of the game, and the feel of the game, and talking about hitting different types of shots. And I'm very much paraphrasing here. I'd have to go watch it again. But yeah, it was interesting to kind of hear him make that shift. But I'm assuming he's still, well, what you're saying there is he's still he's got a lot of science to unwind if he's trying to get back to there as well, right? Like in regards to
and I don't, I've never met him. His caddy, his old caddy, was a pretty good friend of mine. And I have nothing but respect for Bryson.
I like it.
Hardest working guy out there, if not one in the top 5. But it just a testament. And think about what Scheffler has done. His dominance in a game of golf. Are you kidding me? It's like, what? Like, Tiger was a freak. Nicklaus was a guy who could separate himself in the toughest of situations and just kind of let everybody else falter. That's what Nicklaus could do. He just could play his game. Everybody else fell away, and he was the last man standing. Tiger, was a talent who also had, exceptional discipline to routine. Scotty Scheffler just seems like this guy who's so confident and comfortable in his own skin. He literally looks like he's comfortable in his own skin. And to where, you see his feet shuffle about, whatever, I've had students say to me, should I try that footwork? I'm like, hell no, don't try that footwork. That's crazy. That's something that's a signature of his, that's been there for a long time. It's not yours. Most 99% of golfers, aren't doing what he does. If some of that develops because of your body style and physicality and your framing, and perfect, but I wouldn't go try to copy that. It'd be like trying to copy Mo Norman, the Canadian legend.
Yes, and I'm going to ask you a question about Scotty, but I'll just close off the Back to Basics putting segment. So thanks, the Back to Basics putting segment there, one of the major sponsors, TM15, get you 15% off. Support those who support the podcast.